Welcome into Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. I'm Sahadev Sharma with my partner Patrick Mooney. We are your Cubs beat writers over at The Athletic. Patrick, the Cubs are 6-4. They have handed the Padres their first loss of the season. It was the home opener. It was not a beautiful day at Wrigley, but it felt energetic. It felt the place was packed. I believe it was over 40,000
Yeah.
Wrigley Field. We haven't gotten those beautiful sunny days at Wrigley just yet. We of course will eventually. This weekend doesn't appear to be one of those times, but
Yeah.
it's still nice to be back at Wrigley. I think that it was fun listening to Craig Counsell describe some of these new guys experiencing Wrigley for the first time, getting lost, walking around in towels, and accidentally heading for the thinking you're heading for the showers and heading towards the elevators, things
Mhm.
like that. Ultimately, I think the story is from game one at Wrigley is Shota Imanaga, and Shota I've been saying, shoot, Craig Counsell's been saying repeating 2024 is going to be really hard. 3 starts in, he looks like he's primed to do that. I don't know if he will. I think I wrote like in 9 starts into last season, he had a sub 1 ERA. Right now, 3 starts, he's got a sub 1 ERA. If he's doing that again, 9 starts in, like I just got to hand it to him. It'll be like my issues with the Brewers over the past 6 years, constantly doubting them. I I have no doubt that Shota Imanaga is a really good pitcher. If he's this top 5, top 10 type pitcher in the league consistently, first of all, props to him. Like what a
Mhm.
amazing pitcher, but also props to the front office for getting this guy on clearly a steal of a deal.
Yeah, he's faced what, the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Padres in his 3 starts and has
Mhm.
been obviously a little abbreviated start, due to the timing of the Tokyo series, but still really hard to, pitch, under pressure at home like that, and that guy, he just keeps delivering. He is still very fun to watch, which I know that's not really like a metric or something you can quantify, but just his vibes, his style, his sense of humor and sense of the moment, uh, are all just really fun to watch, really fun to kind of absorb. One of the few kind of, appointment television type starters in baseball. And yeah, if he's anywhere as good as he was last year, maybe even a little better, it's hard to see this Cubs season like coming apart, right?
Yeah, I liked our buddy Jesse Rogers going a little nerdy with his questions yesterday to Shota, asking him about his pitch usage,
Mhm.
and Shota used his sweeper a little bit more. It wasn't like a crazy amount, right? It was I want to say 12 sweepers yesterday or Friday, and uh, and I think his answer was pretty straight. I liked his answer that this is the best league in sports, or in baseball. This is the highest level. I got to keep trying to adjust. I got to keep seeing what I can do to get better. uh he's not he And that's something that Council kind of pointed out last year. Like, this
Mhm.
guy's, I know he's a rookie last year, but he's a veteran. He's a baseball veteran. He's smart. He knows how to adjust in game. He knows how to adjust over the course of a season, and and clearly he's doing it already for his career. He's faced, like you said, he faced 3 really tough teams. He can't just be the same pitcher all the time. Sometimes you can, I guess, right? Like sometimes maybe he just
Yeah.
could get away with it, but he doesn't seem satisfied with that. I've been impressed these 3 starts in. For him. Uh, Something else I've been impressed with the team
Mhm.
is just they said it over the offseason about the base running, right? We got to be a
Yes.
better base running team. We got to hire. They focus that on their coaching staff. You can say all these things. They focused on it in spring training. You can do all these things, and then it just kind of disappears or fades away, or nobody remembers it, or nobody notices it. Um, their base running has changed multiple games already early in the season. Council, like you could see, like how often do you see like a delighted Craig Council beaming smile from the guy?
Very rarely, very rarely.
Right. And he seems delighted by this, and he pointed out to us after Friday's game at least 6 runs scored because they've stolen an out on the bases. And he's right, it's at least 6 runs. It's changed games for them. They're winning games, and he's right, it's not going to happen every single time, but they're winning games right now because they're aggressive with their base running. They're not giving away outs, or they're not just like assuming outs either.
Yeah, I really think this lineup 1 through 9 just presents differently. You have Ian Happ established as this leadoff guy, a role that maybe he was a little bit hesitant to take on earlier in his career. Like Kyle Tucker, we've talked about this before. You're seeing it that he just adds different dimensions, plural, to this team. And some of it is just grinding out walks, sometimes just being aggressive and just, nailing a pitch 1. But it is creating traffic on the bases, putting pressure on the team. On the opposing team, we think of, Council acknowledged yesterday, he thinks Seiya benefits from seeing Kyle Tucker. That what have we, as good as Seiya has been over the years, he hasn't quite put it together the way everyone thought. And part of it, I think, is there are times when he can be too disciplined or a little bit passive in the at-bats. And I think that is maybe starting to seep into his game. And we talked about this earlier as well. Like, there is some really plus to elite speed towards the bottom half of that lineup when you're talking about Nico, PCA, Matt Shaw. And then the catching position not being like the worst catching group in the majors. You add it all up and you can see a team that can win at Wrigley Field when the elements are against the hitters.
Yeah, I was thinking about this on my drive home. They stole that run, right, by Seiya getting to second base, and then followed up by an error. And it's just like little things, right? Are the Padres a bad team now? Or are the Cubs this amazing team? But sometimes baseball just kind of flips on like one little play.
For sure.
And how many times were those plays going against the Cubs over the past 2 years where they couldn't win 50-50 moments? And that's the difference between 83 and 86 wins or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
This is how you win those 50-50 moments. And you talk about margin for error. Sometimes when you're not the Dodgers or the Padres, you have to focus on these things, right? Like you don't have this star-laden team. You added a star in Kyle Tucker. You have a ton of talent. Jed Hoyer spoke before Friday's game and was clear that he believes this is a better team on paper and on the field than last year. But I don't think it's a team that projects to win 90 plus games. And when you're good, but not with maybe lacking in some areas, being able to do the little things, find an edge here or there. And they focused on an edge, and now it seems like it is a legitimate edge for them. I think that's a big deal.
No doubt. And I think one of the things that stands out about Kyle Tucker is a guy who can be a 30-30 threat. I don't know if he'll steal 30 bases again this year, but it is part of the overall package. And, we're already sensing this sort of when we're out in the field reporting, when we're checking the comment sections of our stories, or when we're scrolling on X. Extending Tucker or not is going to be a huge story. And Jed was asked about this before the home opener. I think he wants to keep a running counter on his no comments to that question, and we can see where we're at by the end of the year. Certainly, there is very little expectation that Tucker or almost any player in his position would sign an extension at this point. We'll see what happens with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Blue Jays. That's certainly a different one as a homegrown player who was born in Canada and has had a very long history with the Blue Jays and like in kind of a baseline of extension talks to work from. If he signs there, that's a huge free agent off the board next winter. But what Jed said is accurate. If this is the start of Kyle Tucker figuring out what Wrigley Field is all about. He said it was an awesome atmosphere yesterday. He heard the chants, the interactions, seeing the crowd running out to right field. So far, so good. And then I think you just worry about the future later when you're a team that was pretty good and you bring in this superstar talent.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see what happens there. These comps, it's interesting, like a Juan Soto or a Vlad Jr. deal. Like what do teams value the most, right? Like Vlad's going to be entering his age 27 season next year. I believe Juan Soto is entering. This is his age 26 season. Kyle Tucker will be entering his age 29 season. Am I right on that? Yeah, he'll be entering his age 29 season. But they're clear, like when you compare the players to like Vlad and Soto, where's their value? Offense. They're not elite base runners. They're not elite defenders. Speed isn't really part of their game. Like we're talking about great offensive talents. I don't want to diminish their value, but that's where it comes. It's at the plate, right? Like really, really well, really good all around at the plate. Tucker's that. He's really great all around at the plate. Maybe a slight step below those guys, right? When you talk about pure offense, pure at the plate production, probably at Vlad's level, maybe a step below Soto, who's probably in like the Judge Ohtani range. And you're but you're talking about a great defender and a great base runner too, and then he's 2 years older. That's why I think it's an interesting test case. How do teams treat this? It's like a lot of what we see nowadays is that drops your money, your value a lot on the open market. But Tucker is kind of this. It's going to be a really interesting test case. I'm not sure the last time we've seen this level of offensive talent, all around talent, I should say, hit the open market and at this age. It's been kind of maybe I'm just misremembering and there's something really recent, but we've hit this new stratosphere of contract as well. So it's going to be interesting to see like a guy like pushing 30, really talented, obviously deserving of a big payday, but what does that payday look like? And obviously it's a huge test case for the Cubs as well. And we'll we'll see where that goes.
We've been over that, and we'll be discussing that a lot over the coming months. We'll have the Jed no comment counter. We need a graphic pair.
Yeah, ding every single time we ask again. Outside of, I mean, there's a lot of positives. They're a 6-4 team. I feel like they're coming together. I feel like 0-2 start is a distant memory. What lingers in your mind is that Sunday loss against the Diamondbacks and maybe just the shakiness of Ryan Pressly in general. Craig Counsell did not dismiss a question about Ryan Pressly after a win, after you could say he gutted out the save. He didn't act like it was a non-story or anything like that. Ryan Pressly was struggling to put batters away. He did not get ahead of batters very often. He was consistently running a high pitch count. I want to say he ended the day with the save, but it was a nail biter type save, a base hit away from tying the game, and it took 33 pitches. I don't know if you can have a closer controversy without a blown save. Uh, but I'm starting to feel like, I don't like jumping like down these, like I don't like doing this so early on in the season. But I think the difference between Porter Hodge and Ryan Presley currently is obvious to me, and obvious to anyone watching. Um,
Mhm.
I think Presley could settle down, but is this something that we need to continue to talk about? Like at minimum, it's something we need to continue to monitor, right?
Yeah, it just can't be ignored, and I still think Ryan Presley will get a lot of big outs for the Cubs. Um, but already you can start to wonder, like, what is the next step of this, or at what point is it going to be where all of a sudden maybe Porter Hodge gets the ninth inning one day, or like there's a certain matchup where they sort of flip them, and maybe it's not as dramatic as like a pronouncement of that Porter Hodge is now our closer, but it does seem like there's been, to use the managerial terminology of like certain pockets that it's just wound up where Porter Hodge has kind of taken on the heart of the other team's lineup. Yesterday was a little different,
Yeah.
and a little, and you can see the issue, right? I don't know if anyone got up in the bullpen yesterday, but like you can see, like that's
Yeah,
going
I don't
like
know.
as your closers go throwing 30 plus pitches, and you just don't know how it's going to break out. You have to be prepared, right? Like if you have to go to the next guy, if you think it's going to go extra innings, and like that sort of stuff is not. There's not really you know a category at MLB.com for that on the stat board, but like that stuff adds up, and that the pitching coaches and the manager and the front office are concerned about stuff like that too. So maybe yesterday, he finds something, or maybe I was gonna say it would be nice if they had like a little bit of a breather here, right? Of like like the Marlins coming in for a 4-game series, like that is not happening. Maybe like in May there'll be more of a downshift here, but it's just you can already see it. Like the Rangers come in with a huge offense after this. Dodger Stadium is not going to be an easy place to close a game, and then they go to Petco Park in San Diego. So it's definitely, you know, Presley had a good year last year, right? Like he wound up in a good spot. It wasn't as good as he's been before. He adjusted to that different role, setting up for Hader. But like, this is front and center when like the doors close and the cameras are off, and they're trying to figure out, okay, like what's next here? Like Presley is part of that conversation.
Yeah, and just from our experience last year with Hector Neris, which I felt was more glaring, much more glaring, uh, because Neris, it wasn't like a feel of like this guy can't close. It's like this guy can't come in any high leverage
Mhm.
situations.
Mhm.
I don't fully feel that with Presley. I
No,
think he can get to like I feel like he's going to get to a place where he can be a reliable reliever. It's about closing the game and really leaning on him in those biggest moments every other day or whatever it may be. But we're not going to get something where counsel is openly saying I'm removing him from the closer role before it happens. What we're going to see is he's going to keep him in that spot for however long he wants to, and then we'll see. Let's assume it's Porter Hodge. Porter Hodge start getting that, and then and when we ask questions about that, it'll just basically be like, this is how I'm going about things or whatever. It won't be like Porter Hodge is my closer. Ryan Presley isn't. It's just not how it doesn't seem like how he does it, or very many managers. Really,
true.
you're right. You're just trying to like protect your guys and not throw them under the bus. Not to us, at least, not publicly. And they have those conversations, and they decide these things, like you said, when the cameras are off. They're talking about it and they figure it out. And I think that's how it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be some big pronouncement to us before it happens. We'll just see it happen. And maybe you're right. Maybe they're already talking about this. Like, when do we make this change? Um, I don't know.
Mine
I
wasn't
think it's
more when, it was more of like, okay, what's going on? How do we get him?
yeah.
Right. That
What
was
do we
more
need
what
to
I meant.
do?
Yeah.
How do we address this? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Because it's not. That's probably what it is. Like, what do we need to work on something with him? Or is this? What are we seeing? Like, are the results not telling the full story? Whatever it may be, right? I'm sure
And you
there's
have to
maybe
get credit for the results too, right? Like he did
right.
save the game. So
Yeah, yeah, and he threw probably his best fastball of the game to end the game.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so maybe things are slowly coming together for him. We'll see. He's not going to get if there's a save opportunity on Saturday. He's not getting that 33 pitches. He's down today, is my guess. Um, so we'll see when he pitches next what happens, what sort of role he holds throughout the season, if it shifts or if he can lock down this closer's role. I think it's going to be a talking point for Cubs fans at the very least for a while. Patrick, we'll be back at it next week. The Cubs continue on with the tough stretch of games here. We'll see how they do against the Padres, handing them their first loss, looking like a much better team than last year. Although they were probably around this record last year, but it is a tough schedule. They look like a different team on the field for the most part. Let's see if they can keep it up and keep the optimism going in an overcast, cloudy, rainy Wrigley Field. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. This is Northside Territory. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to The Athletic, where Patrick and I are on top of all things Cubs. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Take